Almost 200 years ago, explorers Hume and Hovell travelled through this very region in their quest to discover the overland route from Sydney to Melbourne. From the nearest peak, they knew they'd have stunning views of Port Jackson and the city of Melbourne itself. But harsh terrain and thick undergrowth stopped them in their tracks. Frustrated, they named the area Mount Disappointment. Today, the Mount Disappointment State Forest is a haven for outdoor enthusiasts, and it's the perfect place for Life Off-Road to come along and explore the region. So join us for the next few days as we camp and four-wheel drive through Mount Disappointment and beyond. Before heading off on our Mount Disappointment and Tallarook adventure, we met up with our mates and got set for a few days of off-road fun. With a mix of experience and enthusiasm, we knew it was going to be an exciting few days exploring the area and couldn't wait to get out on the tracks.
Hi, Chris Roberts from Tread 4x4. I'm out here with the team from Life Off-Road, out exploring the forest and four-wheel drive tracks just outside of Tallarook. So I've driven the Y62 Patrol down from Queensland to get some four-wheel drive work done, and it has that awesome supercharger under the bonnet. So it's going to tour well, it's going to drive well, it's going to have heaps of torque, so I'm really excited to hit these trails up.
G'day, my name's Dale from Terrain Tamer. Been invited out here again by Simon and the team. This will be my second trip. First one was out to the Otways, and this one's around Mount Disappointment. On our last trip, I had my son Liam with me. Unfortunately, he's a bit upset that he couldn't make this trip, but I have my other son with me on this trip as a navvy, young Hayden. So hopefully he does as good as a job as Liam did and sort of point us in the right direction.
Hi guys, Matt Ingram here from Narva. I've drawn the short straw for the week. My first trip here. We're looking forward to a really good couple of days. The vehicle that we brought is our Narva Ranger, which has been on a number of these trips before. We've done a few little updates to it since the last trip, fitted some new mud terrain tyres to it. We've also added our new 225 driving lights, as well as one of our new Explorer light bars. We're doing a night drive tonight, which should be really good, so we're hoping to put them into action and see how we go, so we can light up the top of the trees.
Hi, Mark Berger here from ARB 4x4 Accessories. Excited to be out here again on another Life Off-Road trip. We've brought the D-Max out with us today. Great little car, great platform to start doing some touring out here in Mount Disappointment. We've picked out a car that's decked out with all the necessities that we need to do a really nice trip out here just north of Melbourne. And we are predicting a little bit of rain, and I'm quite happy to know that we've got the rooftop tent set up on top there. I'll be nicely above the ground there in case we get any flash floods coming through. Really looking forward to a great couple of days out here and about to go up the ladder track, one that I haven't done before, but interested to see how we go, and thankfully we're getting the opportunity to tackle it in nice sunny weather.
Hi, I'm Mike from Iveco, and I'm super excited to be back on Life Off-Road with Simon Christie, and I'm here today with the new daily 4x4. So this daily, as you see it, is pretty much what you get from the factory, apart from the lights and the bull bar and the 37-inch tyres. But the best features about this vehicle are its constant four-wheel drive, and it's got a very impressive approach angle and departure angle. So we're about to take on the ladder track. When you're on tracks like this, what you want is clearance, and the daily 4x4 has got stacks of it. An impressive 48-degree approach angle, 39-degree departure angle, and 153-degree breakover angle, which is more than you'll need out here. So the approach angle is the angle from the tyre to the underside of the front bumper bar, and the bigger the approach angle you have, the more easy it makes it to cross over rough terrain. Similarly, the departure angle is from the rear tyre up to the underside of the rear bumper, and the bigger that angle, the easier it is for the truck to go through. In addition, the daily comes with 3 differential locks, front, center and rear, which can all be engaged at the same time, and when that's done, it makes the vehicle more than capable of taking on any kind of terrain.
It's an easy cruise from Melbourne and the freeway to the outskirts of Mount Disappointment. But before getting too far into it all, we pause to set our tyre pressures for the challenges ahead.
Simon hasn't let us down today. These tracks we've done this morning have been unbelievable. First of all, we had some heavy, mudded, rutted areas we drove through, which were fantastic. And then we hit the mother of all tracks. It's a track called the Ladder.
I was told it was the ladder track, and then when we turned in, it was sort of flat, rocky sections and then sort of tight, closed-in trails with trees around it. Wasn't sure what to expect.
As we turned in, I wasn't quite sure why it was called the ladder track, because it was just a series of fairly deep bog holes, which was pretty challenging. It's quite narrow.
So the first real track of the day at Mount Disappointment. Fair bit of water on the track from over the weekend, I dare say, and we had some really nice boggy holes, pretty deep. The base of them was pretty good, so we all got through pretty well unscathed, which was nice. Then we came across to a track that's known as the Ladder. Wasn't really sure what to expect, haven't been out here before, and it was quite a long track, lots of corners and bits and pieces.
Definitely a little bit overgrown through here. A really nice lead in, a really nice warm up for our day, and a great way to get set for the challenging section of the ladder. Now, I've been coming up here for over 20 years, probably a bit longer. And the ladder has always been one of the top tracks to do in the area, and we're really lucky that the ladder is still open. A lot of the challenging tracks in the Mount Disappointment area have now been closed, but there are a few key tracks still open, and they're the ones we're going to be focusing on this weekend.
When you're really testing your vehicle to the extremes, sometimes the OE stuff just is not quite strong enough. The bearing manufacturing process has come a long way over the last 40 years, not to mention the better bearing steel available in the world today. These are now more resistant to wear from contaminant and heat, causing premature wear and failure. The grease hub seals act now as a two-piece seal with an inner and outer casing. The inner casing is to assist in sealing off the previous surface where the seal would run, as in most cases this area will have some wear and can be damaged, which a standard seal cannot maintain the correct contact needed. The outer casing that retains the seal now runs on a new clean surface provided by its inner casing. We have also added folded metal edges that meet up against the seal casing and prevent any harsh contaminant on making direct contact with the seal. These upgrades will increase product lifespan and reduce the replacement cycle and hence vehicle downtime and costs.
When we came up to that hill and Danny came over the UHF and basically said, guys, you want to get out and walk this track and have a good look at it, and told the camera crew to get ready and set everything up, you knew that this track got its name for a reason. And then when we got onto that hill, we learnt that reason.
We thought maybe that we'd have a little bit of loose rock and really struggle with traction if we ever stopped the vehicle, and we took the time to make sure that we filled in some of the bigger holes to really make sure that we could maintain traction and get ourselves over.
This is interesting.
The first bit was a really steep granite wall on the right-hand side that we kind of had to negotiate, and the car just really stuck to its line, gripped in really well.
Going up this track was very testing. The come down to wheel placement was very important. Obviously, if your wheel's in the wrong place, you've got no traction. So a lot of vehicles did struggle.
I think when we all walked it to start with, we all thought to ourselves, this is maybe a little bit beyond our vehicle capabilities. And for me, I was conscious of the fact that I've got to drive my car all the way back to Queensland after this trip.
A little bit sketchy up the top where there's this big step. Look, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I got into it and just decided to power through and ended up almost taking out someone at the top.
Well, this is it, the maiden voyage for my Iveco Daily 4x4. It's been 2 years in the making, the dream of me getting my hands on one of these for myself. It's been around a 6-month build. It's been up in Queensland, been customised, a nice tray put on it. I am so excited to finally have this rig.
It wouldn't have been without Simon that I would have actually made it up to the top in terms of the coaching that he gave, a bit to the left, to the right, no, you're on the wrong line, so it was incredible.
When we're talking about camping, one of the absolute necessities for four-wheel drivers is a 12-volt fridge. I mean, gone are the days of filling up your rescue with ice, trying to find the local service station. What we've got here is the ARB Elements fridge. Great just like this in the back of your canopy on a drawer system, but just as home on the back of our open tray, this thing is tried and tested to be able to withstand all the elements that the Australian outback can throw at it. The Elements fridge has a stainless steel facade. It's really built for being out in the elements as suggested. On top of that, we've got two really secure latches. Probably one of the most unique features around this fridge is the gas strut assist. Again, we all remember holding one hand up, digging deep, trying to find what we're after. Problem solved. Here we are, easily accessible into the fridge. Inside the panel here, we've naturally got your temperature control as you would expect. Additionally, we get a good voltage reading straight off the battery. I can push that and I can see right now 12.9 volts. And I guess that just highlights some of the features of what is an amazing off-road fridge. We left lunch this afternoon and headed out hoping to do just a few last tracks before we headed into camp.
We headed up Quarry Road, and whilst different from the ladder, it was equally as challenging.
Lo and behold, true to Simon fashion, he came across some more challenging tracks as we went up and down and thinking, gee, this looks like it could get a bit interesting.
Quite adventurous and exciting. Lots of up and down hills. Good to get out and about off the tarmac.
We've been sport with the weather. Everyone's in shorts and t-shirts.
You had really good scenic areas, you're climbing a hill and you come to this beautiful lookout where you kind of just got to stop and take it all in, which is why we buy four-wheel drives. You want to get to these destinations.
Spent a lot of time in the sun. It's been a great day. We've had really good weather. Very, very exciting day.
The scenery was unbelievable, and there's not a place like it in the world. It's fantastic.
We then got to quite a deep descent, which we were all a little bit umming and ahhing about whether we were going to do it or not. We then watched Simon do it in the Iveco and we were all really impressed. Straight down there, no issues, and he actually turned around and drove straight back up the top to be able to do it again. I mean, that was it. We were all in our cars ready to go.
Going up the hills are fun, but sometimes going down them is more challenging, especially if you've got that loose rock where you get to test your vehicle, test your nerve a little bit. It's knowing your vehicle, positioning it well.
We had great direction from Simon, being able to help us get down the hill. Very safe, everyone enjoyed it. A few scrapes along the way, but nothing too bad. All cars came out unscathed, which was great.
After we finished the tricky technical descent, we pushed onto Quarry Road as the light began to fade.
Then we came to a couple of really good little whoops, which were nice because you sort of lost visibility, but you relied on the spotter or the car before you to tell you what to do. So while we're on that quarry track, we were confronted with a car shell that we saw at the bottom of this hill.
It was a Mitsubishi Triton, and it probably rolled over 4 or 5 times and was a mess.
Instantly everyone's out there grabbing photos, thinking how this car got there, and Obviously, you only had to look to your right and see up this hill. Crazy, really steep.
I reckon you're going to be fine.
Danny had the rig for that. His car is so well equipped. It's got the power, it's got the lift, it's got the tyres. He went up and showed us just how awesome his vehicle is, but at the same time, how quickly things can turn. We were all talking about doing that hill next, so we all were eagerly watching Danny in the way that he approached that hill.
We all stood back and watched as Danny persevered up the rock face in his 80 series, and
He went up it in the end, but geez, it was a battle all the way.
When he got to that point where he went too far and decided to winch, this is where everybody comes together and helps out and makes sure that the recovery is as safe as it possibly can be, given the situation.
Normally when we perform recoveries like this, we use safety gear like gloves, but we need to get Danny out of there as quickly as possible.
Simon came in and did the winching and got everything sorted because that's what he specialises in. But you know, having the whole team there, we're all ready to help out if the situation called for it.
Handling synthetic rope is far less risky than steel cable, and this was that 1 in a million situation where saving a mate was more important than donning the gloves.
very glad to see him get up there safely, and I think we all made the right decision after that to decide, hey, now's the time, 4 o'clock track, we don't need any damage, we'll get back in our cars and head back to camp.
Now it's time to set up camp, get the bickies out and have a bit of a feed, and then do some night driving.
It's starting to get dark now, which is great. We get a couple of our lights out and help some of the guys set up camp. But we're looking forward to a night drive tonight to show off some of the lights. The sun's starting to go down. We're getting pretty excited. We're about to go on a night drive. Brought along some of the new Enhanced Optic 225 LED Nava driving lights, and we're really, really excited to get them out, get them on the track, see if we can light up some trees. Rather than mass LED lights, these actually run 3 LEDs. Instead of pointing the LEDs directly straight, they point them upwards and downwards and use the lens itself to reflect the light. Gives us the opportunity to have a better light, and we can focus it in the areas that we want it, rather than just having light thrown everywhere. Now, light everywhere is great sometimes, but when you want it to go in a certain direction and you want to aim it, that's what these are more for. Anybody who's been four-wheel driving or has driven off-road or even on-road that needs the distance of lights will understand what a quality light is. Lighting isn't just lighting anymore. Having the correct lights on your car can make or break your trip.
I think the highlight for me on that night drive was when Simon went over the UHF and said, Chris, I've got a winch. It's about time that Iveco got held up. And that would mean that he's recovered more than me on this trip, which is a good thing. Yep. Very tight trails, good mixture of terrain. We had a couple of bog holes and just beautiful little picturesque areas. Those sorts of memories that make these sorts of trips worthwhile.
It's been a long, hot and dusty day, and Mount Disappointment has certainly turned it on for us. But I think the weather's going to change, so make sure you tune in next week. When the tracks get slippery, the mud holes get deeper, we search for the pub with no beer and we head to Tallarook State Forest to take on the challenges up there. I'm Simon Christie. You've been watching Life Off-Road. Tread lightly, keep it safe, play hard. I'll see you next week.